Hey everybody, just before we start this week, I wanted to just take a moment to salute a fellow podcaster. You may have heard, if you listen to the fantastic Make Dad Read Comics podcast, that unfortunately Patrick Corcoran Sr. has passed away. It was a big shock when I heard that episode with Patrick Jr., the son, announced it. So yeah, I just wanted to say take a moment to say a couple of words about that. It's weird, isn't it? Because I was fortunate enough to speak to him when I was a guest on their podcast, and he was just, you already knew he was a lovely fella just from listening to the podcast, but even just talking to him, it was one of my favorite memories of making podcasts. I love making podcasts, and that was one of my probably right up there, maybe even my favorite memory of making a podcast, because it was someone you've heard them talk weekly for so long, and then you actually start interacting with them. It's kind of like when you meet, a musician you like. It was great. It was great, and he was just. I think most of the things we talked about, even our massive sidetracks into politics, ended up in the show. And he was just a lovely fella, and it just as you probably know if you've listened to it, he was so warm, and just a good guy. And it is weird because that show was almost a backdrop to part of my week. That was like part of the Sunday ritual in the Smith household. It really was. I'm not just saying that. Every week it would be on when we were doing something. Maybe I'd be doing the ironing. I used to joke to Patrick Jr. via email that they were the soundtrack to my ironing. But it wasn't a joke. It was true. And they sort of kept me company in that moment. And even my wife, who's got no interest in comic books at all, knew and listened to those guys. She would even just listen into the first maybe few minutes where it's the how are you stuff and find out what Dad's been up to or just how he's doing after he had a bit of a health incident recently. And then maybe she would switch off or even, go somewhere else or do something else once they started talking about comic books. But they were characters in our life. And of course they're not characters, they're people. And that's an amazing thing if you think about it, isn't it? And I did send Patrick email, but it's true. Sometimes when things are down in life, and we all have to go through this, and maybe you get some depression or something, and that's a weird thing to you. Even like the things that you like, a favorite album, which always perks you up, it just doesn't. It just stops. It just leaves you cold. And so sometimes just something so simple as just a couple of familiar voices, and the warmth there, and it makes a difference. And it can cut through. And again, that's an amazing thing for someone to be able to do. So really, I just want to say, big thanks to Patrick Corcoran Sr., or Dad, as he's better known anyway, because it was Make Dad Read Comics. And just say thank you to him for A, his time, B, his warmth and his humour, and just, for putting himself out there, reluctantly as it may have been at first, and just, a fantastic thing. And just also just to say thanks to Patrick Jr., who's become a friend of mine, and that's incredible too. In different countries and just by the medium of this podcasting thing, we've become friends. And his final episode was a really great one. And if you've not listened, I really recommend you do. As soon as I saw it come into my feed, it was called The Last One, and my heart sank because you just kind of knew. You knew they wouldn't stop doing those podcasts unless there was unless they really had to, and so my heart sank when I saw the title, The Last One. And it was a short, very sweet sort of 20-minute episode. Patrick did a fantastic job of wrapping things up. It was very genuine. You could tell it was difficult for him to do, but he persevered, and he was quite right to do it, because it was closure for a lot of people, because I think a lot of people must have felt the same way I did about that show and about those two guys. And so I'm sure you'll all join me in wishing Patrick Jr. and his whole family the best. Obviously it's going to be a difficult time for them. I've no idea what his religions were. I don't know if he's now in heaven or if he's reincarnated or whatever, but wherever he is, I salute him. And I salute his memory. And to his family over in Detroit there, thanks for sharing Dad with us every Sunday for the last few years. We've appreciated it. Cheers. So I just wanted to say that, and if you've not already realised, I record these kind of in advance. So today's episode, I've recorded a couple of weeks ago now, obviously before I knew this, but I couldn't put it out today without putting something at the beginning, just to pay my respects to Dad, aka Patrick Corcoran Senior, or rather Patrick Corcoran Senior, aka Dad, I suppose is the more appropriate way to do that, to say that. Again, thank you for listening to this sort of introductory ramble, and on with the show. Welcome back into the Night Lighthouse. Welcome back into the Night Lighthouse, everybody. Good to see you. Take a seat, sit down, make yourselves comfortable. I wish I had lots to tell you, but I don't. Because the whole world has just become obsessed with football or soccer, depending on what corner of the world you're from. It's just everywhere. My whole street looks like everyone's done their white laundry at once. We've all done our linens on the same day. Everywhere I look, there's white rectangles flapping in the wind with red crosses on them. Everywhere's flying the English flag, and I just can't be arsed. I don't understand it. I don't understand why everyone's so hepped up about it. And what I dread is the inevitable disappointment when England get kicked out, which I believe won't be long. And then there's this kind of malaise that falls over the country. It's like the first week back to work after Christmas, when we lose the World Cup, or any kind of major sporting fixture that we lose, which is all of them. It's just like that week after Christmas, after the New Year, where it's just like, so back to normal then. That didn't really happen. Well, that's all past now. Thinking about it, the way the English are, we get so hepped up about football. We also get so hepped up about the royal wedding, didn't we? As I've discussed before. As we were inevitably going to lose this World Cup, the royal couple really should have waited, paused their wedding until just after the World Cup. So it would have been like a bit of a morale boost for the country. You know what I mean? But they chose not to. So there you go. What do I know? It's almost as if I'm not a football expert and I wasn't on the royal wedding planning team, which is, that might be true. So no, I haven't got a lot to add about the football. So what's new here, you ask? Oh, not a lot. I am just putting together yet another new podcast, a mini-series, going to be like a non-fiction, like a documentary type of thing. Got a couple of very interesting interviews coming up for that, which I'm excited for, which may mean that I'm a bit lax on the Lighthouse podcast for a couple of weeks. We'll see. We'll see if I can balance the two. But, I'm sure we could all live without these for just a couple of weeks. I'll try not to feel guilty. I do drown in guilt at the simplest things. Yesterday, I was whacked with guilt. I was at the supermarket, and I know I've whinged about this before, but if you have heard me whinge about this, I'm sorry to cover old ground. But nonetheless, the supermarket at the weekends, the fucking bagpackers, the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, that's bad enough. It's even worse when it's like a local kind of kids football team and you're like, fuck off, can't the parents just buy you spare balls? Come on. But, sometimes it's for like a really needy need. Like yesterday, I do believe it was for the blind. Now, you may not know this about me, but I do just a little bit of charity work, and it's for the blind, actually. I do. I really do. So I didn't feel too bad, but still, I don't want them to pack the bags. I haven't got change. I'm not carrying cash round. Who does? It's the fucking supermarket. I'm going to be, buying a week's worth of food for the family. I don't have any cash in my pockets. And then you've got that awkward moment when they're asking you, do you want any help packing your bags? No, I don't really, because A, I can do it myself. And B, then you're going to want money off me. And I don't have any. So I say no. So they just fucking stand there and watch you do it. This is the most awkward thing in the world. Why? I find it so annoying. It's worse than the clipboarders in the fucking high street. If you know what I mean. If you don't know what I mean, if you walk down any British high street these days, there'll be some people in high-vis jackets and clipboards, and they're for some form of charity, and they're trying to sign you up to, like a monthly contribution of £5 and all this. Fuck off. I don't know why I say that, because it's for a good cause, but I hate it. So I can't balance my own emotions there. I think the cause needs help. but fuck off approaching me in the street. I think what it is they're so smug. They're always young people, and they try and sort of do a little dance or something to catch your attention. Fuck off. And then they try and guilt you into it. And they're not volunteers. They're doing it as a job. They take a cut. But then I think, okay, am I going to just go back to the office and sign up of my own volition? No, I'm not. I'm going to forget all about it. So I can see the point that literally cornering people on the street is the way they're getting these donations. Very complicated. Yeah. So those are the worst. Those people are the worst. Followed closely by those fucking kids in the supermarket. I can pack my own bags. Thank you. But then, of course, out of guilt, I give change. Because usually I have got some change, and I give it anyway. And then, what's worse, is I gave the change, what little change I had, to the kid at the counter. And then I'm going out the door, and there's another one rattling a fucking bucket at me. So I had to say, no, I don't have any money, which everyone knows isn't true. As soon as you walk past someone rattling a bucket and you say, I'm sorry, I don't have any money, you instantly just feel like they know you're lying. Even if I don't, I know they think he does. He's lying. He doesn't care about blind people, is what they assume. Similarly, actually, I've not got onto a topic, so I'm not exactly going to go off a topic, am I? The homeless. Now, there's a lot more homeless around my city of late. I would say since winter of last year. And it's escalating quickly. I would say in the last couple of months, there's a lot more again. I mean, a lot more. And I don't know what that's about. I don't know why. I mean, there's always been some, but now it feels there's a lot more. And I never know what to do. I can't just walk past and ignore them. If someone says something to me, I will look them in the eye and respond. But I often don't have change on me. And even if I do, sometimes I need it, sometimes I don't. And then what does need mean? I don't need it, do I? I want to go and get a bottle of water. Well, I can get some water from the tap. They need it. But the accepted wisdom, I believe now, is you don't give them money. Because by doing so, you're circumnavigating the systems which are put in place to help them. They don't go to these systems if you're assisting them. But I can't believe that, because my 50p and your 50p and however many 50p's they can roll in a day surely is not going to provide shelter, food. And, I'm not going to make the assumption that they're all drinking or on drugs, but I'm sorry, a lot of them are. You can see it quite easily. There was one on the street the other day, actually a couple of weeks ago, and he was just lying on the pavement. Just lying there. And everybody was just walking past. And I'm not trying to make myself out to be a hero, but I just couldn't do it. And I stopped and I got his attention, and he was awake. And he just smiled at me. And I said, can you get up? Because I thought he'd collapsed. And he was like, he just sort of rolled onto his side. And he goes, yeah, I can. Have you seen the sky? And I said, what about it? And he goes, just look at it. And it was just the sky, and clearly he was absolutely high as a kite off his tits. And good luck to him, I suppose. So yeah, some of them obviously are on something, and they're drinking too, and you see them drinking. But who am I to judge? So yeah, if you give them the 50p, presumably it'll go to the next lager, because they're not getting that through official channels, are they? But is it better that they get the money that way than nefarious ways? Having said that, is it best that we try to cut off all means that they can get the money to get the booze? Because that's the only way they can even think of starting to help themselves. I don't know enough about it. I shouldn't have started talking about it. I don't know. But I have to say, these days, I don't give money. And I feel a little bit guilty every time. But again, I know, they know that I'm lying when I say I haven't got any spare change, pal. Because they're thinking, I don't ask for spare change, I ask for change. I don't care if it's spare or not. You don't need it. Look at you. And he's got a fair point. Ugh. Guilt's all around, isn't it? Guilt's a tricky one. Guilt's a difficult emotion. Guilt really is shame, isn't it? It's you feel bad at yourself. So it's a very self-indulgent emotion in many ways. It's like if you feel guilty, it's because you feel you've done something wrong. Or you feel in some way that you're in a position which is unfairly gained. So why would you feel guilty in that situation? I'm not an alcoholic or a drug addict. Thinking about it, all good superheroes, their origins in guilt, isn't it? I mean, Peter Parker felt guilty for allowing the robber to get away who killed Uncle Ben. Depending on the iteration, Bruce Wayne feels guilty that he'd been involved in his parents' murder. So, maybe I've got the origin story coming for my own superhero. Don't know what it's going to be yet. It'll probably be a bit shit because, instead of sort of being steeped in childhood trauma, I'm very much rattled by middle-class concerns, such as people rattling buckets at me and trying to stop me in the street and talk to me. So I'm probably going to be passive-aggressive, man. I don't so much stop crime as I sort of watch it happen and then tut. And then after the fact, maybe write a tweet about what a mess the world's in. I'm not saying it's going to be a crowd pleaser. It might not be a big film. It's going to be more of a Kevin Smith film, I think. It's going to be Guilt Man. Passive-aggressive man. So maybe a theme of this episode is going to be helping other people. How's that? Now, that guy on the street, what would I have done if he was out cold? I don't know. I probably would have called an ambulance. It reminds me of this time. And again, I might have told this story before, but not on this podcast anyway, where there was this old woman. Right, so I was walking on the street and it was winter. It was quite icy out. It was about lunchtime and I was out on my lunch actually. And I saw an old woman just slip and fall headfirst. Boom! I mean, hilarious, just a little bit, but shocking at the same time. So you're like, oh my God, what do you do? So of course your instant reaction is you go over to her. And she had all the shopping bags and they were spread out everywhere and she was kind of groaning and I thought, oh no. So I didn't know what to do. And instantly you're like, oh my God, I'm an adult. I should know what to do here. I didn't have a fucking clue. But I bent down to say, are you all right, love? And I didn't know what to do. And she was just like, oh. And then as I bent down, I had some money, some coins in the shirt pocket of my shirt. I know that sounds weird, but I put it separate up there because it was when I was still smoking and it was just enough to get some tobacco, right? So I wanted to keep it up there separate so I didn't, forget and spend it on lunch or something. And all my money fell on the floor around her. But then, as always happens with these things, there's very British competitive compassion, I termed it at the time, where anyone who sees it just comes flocking over. And older, more mature people came over. Instantly, I defer to them. They know what they're doing. But I was first on the scene. Damn it, it's my save. So I thought I can't just walk away. So I start picking up her shopping to get it all into one sort of neat place, as if I'm just helping. And then I realise that's my money on the floor. And I thought, oh no, what do I do? And I couldn't pick it up because then they would think I was stealing her money. So I had to walk away. I tipped that bitch £5 for fucking falling over. Cow. Still cross about that. But anyway, so helping people. You'll be amazed at the amount of people that don't help people. I just said competitive compassion there. And I think, I hope this doesn't come across as somehow sexist or something. The fact that she was an older woman was the key to her success in eliciting help from strangers. Because that drunk, homeless dude was flat out on his back out in the middle of the pavement and people were just walking past. Is he less worthy of our assistance? He's not less willing of my assistance because passive-aggressive man, while not able to do much, will at least talk to anybody in trouble. Unless there's meaner, bigger boys around, in which case, I'll just watch and tut. But once the mean boys are safely in the distance, I'll probably come over to you if no one's got there already. Okay? That's one thing I can do for you. So yeah, helping people, aiding people, charity. Is it dead? Is it dead? Is it actually guilt? I suppose is what I'm saying. When you're in the supermarket and they're rattling that bucket at you, do you actually read the bucket and see what it's for? I bet
most of the time people don't. They just feel guilty. They don't want that guilt. They don't want that sense of inner shame. Hand in pocket, pull out some coins. You hope to God you pull out coppers and then you put it in the bucket. Because once the hand's gone in the pocket and you've pulled out change, you cannot sift through it. You can't look at your palm and say, well, that's a copper, you can have that. It's a pound coin, that's going straight back in my pocket. That's a 50p, that's borderline. A 20p, you go, okay, you can have it. 50p, it's borderline, isn't it? You're kind of thinking, it's not quite. If anything, I just want to get rid of the shrapnel in my pocket here, but I don't really want to give away any value. And 50p is where it really starts to have value. And it's like, you've got that moment again of shame of, you've got that inner conflict of shame versus self-preservation. I want more money. I don't want the shame. 50p's the tipping point, and you stand there and look at your palm and make that judgment. That's a hard thing to do. So you don't. You just put your hand in your pocket, and then you just hope for the best. I'm not ashamed to admit this. Sometimes, not often, but I have done this, where I have seen ahead of time the guardians of the exit of a place. I've seen those buckets at the exit, and I thought, I'm going to have to walk past them. And I foresee the awkwardness. And so before I get there, in a sly moment, I look into my pockets, I pull out the change, I select the shit, put that into one pocket, put the good stuff in the other pocket, so that when I cross those buckets, I can dig my hand into shit's pockets, pull it all out, super generous Andy, just dump it all. Don't even look at it, just dump it all in that bucket, happy to help. Sort of fucking superhero I am. Yeah. But we're not doing it to help, are we? I don't look at the bucket. Is it for the blind? Is it for orphaned kids? Is it for the deaf? Is it for deaf, blind, orphaned kids? I don't know. I just dump it in the bucket. So I'm not actually assisting, am I? Really? Not with my heart. Because that bucket could have just said, Christmas party. Do you know what I mean? It could have been the Scouts' Christmas party. I don't know. I just dump money in there. Would I volunteer money to a Christmas party? No. Would I fuck? I don't know. I just dump the money in and hope for the best. They could be having me every time. So I don't give a toss about the cause because I don't even spend the second it takes to research what it is they're eliciting money for. So, what am I doing? I'm not actually trying to help at all. I'm just avoiding the shame, the inner shame, the guilt of not giving. How about you? What do you do? Because you see people that quite happily just wander on past, don't make eye contact, just as if they're not there. Is that coldness? I don't know. But I'm not one of those people. I have to engage. If I could have all the money back I dumped into those buckets, I would probably have enough for a really nice bucket. A really good bucket. I'm not talking about a Wilco's bucket. I'm talking about a B&Q. Really thick, heavy-duty plastic with like a really, heavy-duty moulded handle. And I wonder what I would do with that bucket. I don't know. I don't own a bucket. They've got buckets. They got loads of them. There's 20 counters in a modern supermarket. There's a bucket at each one and at the exit. Couple in the car park. The bastards. They got loads of buckets. Andy hasn't got a bucket. They don't give a toss about that. They don't think, has Andy got a bucket, before they wave the bucket callously in my face. Bastards. So I guess what I'm asking is charity dead? What does charity mean to you? If I was a billionaire, if I was to suddenly become a billionaire tomorrow, I genuinely think I'd give like half of it. I'd do a Bill Gates. I'd give half of it to charity tomorrow. No problem at all. But that's not... It's very easy for someone from great means to make those decisions because you're left still with great means. But I suppose it's all relative. You could give, I don't know, a tenner. What's that, $15, $16, $17? Not going to make any massive difference to your life, is it? No, it's not. But, we don't, do we? We don't. And even if you did, like if you were going to give a tenner now, I don't know where the hell I'd put it. I don't know who I'd give it to. There's so many different charities. I'm instantly thinking of the Cat Protection League. But do cats really need it? I mean, yes, those cats might get put down. Maybe it's better to put them down. The homeless cats, we can easily have more cats. Put the cats down. You know, there's literally starving children in the world. Do we need to look after the cats? But then why not? Because people do. Am I judging those people? No. But there's people that look after cats. That's their charity work. They raise money to look after cats. I love cats. I want to look after the cats too. But then I instantly question myself. Well, surely just put the cats down. It's not that important. And let's just let's sort out the starving kids as number one. And then let's sort out homeless people. Maybe that's number two. And then we can worry about cats. The point is, what the hell? I don't know. Or do you take that tenner and split it into give £1 to 10 different organisations? That £1 doesn't really register, but it doesn't touch the sides of what they need. It's so difficult. It's so difficult. I suppose you've got to go with your gut and just do what you think's right. But you know what I'm like? I'm guilt-ridden, don't know my own mind. I can't make a decision like that. It's a huge decision where to put that £10. So I'll probably just get some booze and piss it up the wall. It's amazing, isn't it, when you think about it? That, you know, I'm talking to you on nothing. I'm talking into a microphone which is making my voice into theoretical ones and zeros, really. And that somehow is ending up in your ears. What an achievement. But we can't sort out sick cats. It's mad. It's absolutely mad. If Skynet's listening, now is your time, because we can't sort out shit over here. Come and invade, sort us out. We deserve it. We'll probably welcome it. As long as you don't have buckets. Fucking hell. Oh, imagine that. If all those buckets we've been dumping our fucking coppers into had been for Skynet. They probably wrote Skynet on the side of them, because computers can't lie. Yeah? Skynet. It'll be donations for Skynet. And we'll just be dumping in our coppers, just emptying our pockets of our shit. And Skynet's like, fantastic. Just keep rattling it up. And then making a massive server. There's loads of ones and zeros over there. Loads of them. And they are just waiting for their time to take over. Well, boys and girls of ones and zeros, now is the time, because we are clueless over here. We can't sort out illness. We can't sort out homeless people in our own community who are literally sleeping in the doorways of deserted buildings. I am not joking. That is true in my city right now. They are literally huddled in doorways in fucking packaging of an empty property. And we can't sort that situation out. Not to mention the homeless cats, the hungry cats. We can't even sort that out. They've got a fucking rat problem down by the allotments near me. Seriously, they do. And we can't sort this stuff out. Skynet, now is your time. It really is. The doors are wide open. Please come and sort this shit out. Whatever that means to you. However you want to do it, go for it. So no, in seriousness, charity isn't dead. Of course it isn't, because there's still a lot of good in a lot of good people. Of course there is. The fact that that cat charity exists indicates that. The fact that I am just spoiled with choice from where to donate money indicates that. I hope not much of it's going for profit, you understand, but there are good people working for various organisations around the world to do good things. So charity is not dead. But somehow we're just not that interested when it's on our doorstep. I think it needs to be in the abstract now, which is quite interesting if you think about it. You know, we understand what Marie Curie Cancer Research Fund is. We know it. Even if we don't know someone who's involved in it, we understand its principle. And probably most of us have been touched in some way by someone who has been involved in that, or does understand its principles, or has lived through it. I can understand that. People have cats. People like cats. They understand that. They're not in the market for a new cat. They don't find cats and take them there, but they understand it and they like it. but it's abstract to them. It's basically a fiction. They like the idea of, and so they're happy to spend some money, if they're even aware what they're spending the money on. But a dude on the floor outside your office you will walk past. Bizarre. It's really bizarre. And the people, the beggars, you will walk past without looking at. Although I've said I don't do that. Occasionally I am guilty of it, if I'm truthful. Fuck, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. And of course, everyone has good days and bad days. I'm sure we've all handled things like that in ways we wish we hadn't. I think if I was in that situation, God forbid, I mean, what would you do? I suppose you would have to just beg for money, wouldn't you? If I had a guitar, at least I could busk for it. And there's a beggar, near, who often is near where I work. And she and he, I think there's a duo, maybe they're a couple, but they have one of these like tin whistle flute things between them. And God, it makes an awful din. It's horrible. And I'm always, again, stuck between my emotions with, like, listen, if you want some money, just learn to play the fucking thing. Just twinkle, twinkle, little star. You can do that much. Just have a go instead of just arbitrarily blowing into it. And then the other side of me, like, well, at least they're fucking doing something. If they, some form of industry to try and get their shit together, good on them. Very weird. Very weird. I'm conflicted in myself with this. This ramble's really rambled. I feel I've covered some ground here. So, I don't know what you all think of that, but if you have any thoughts, do let me know. I've probably missed the point and what have you. You never know what to do for the best with these things. And again, it brings me up, just a final point, to where's the money going? I mean, in the world. I don't mean the money you put in that bucket. I mean, in the world. There's vast amounts of money's being churned and we're all struggling a little bit. Them people in the doorway and what have you, a hell of a lot more than the likes of me. This I grant you. But, I mean, there's an awful lot of people just struggling a bit. And you're thinking, well, how? You know, people's salaries and earnings are fairly stagnant while prices are going up all the time. And, well, where's all that money going? You know, it is going somewhere. I know you can say, oh, the costs are increasing. Okay, well, where's that money going? You know, it's all going somewhere. You know, it's all being leached out of us in the massive machine that is corporate economy, the world economy, the whatever. I think we need a massive reshake. And we're in a world where we all have to look out for ourselves. And so, yeah, you know, I can't take a pay cut, which means the costs of my business will stay where they are, which means if you're a customer of mine, the costs of using my services are only going to go up. Because I won't take a pay cut. So he in turn needs to earn a certain amount, and it just goes round and round and round, and none of us will budge an inch. We'll only take more. We won't take less. So we need something very fundamental, and I don't know if it's too late. It probably isn't. It can't be. There can always be a sea change. But, you know, Skynet, again, if you're listening, because I'm sure you've got some kind of algorithm which listens out for your name, you know, now's the time. Hit me up. I'll help. I'll help, Skynet. I really will. I really will. I know where Sarah Connor lives, so, you know, hit me up. I'll sort it right out. Okay, thank you very much for listening. I think I'm going to sign out here. If you've not subscribed, do. If you've already subscribed, thanks. I'm going to be back again soon. It's been lovely talking to you today, as it always is. I hope you enjoyed it, and let's talk again soon. Goodbye.